Good morning, everybody. I'm hoping you're having a good morning. Today is April the 2nd, or this lesson is for April the 2nd, and we are going to be on page 299. It's just one page today, and the lesson probably won't be that long, but we're going to actually talk about Korea. We're still on the dominance of Asia, and today is Korea. Now, Korea had been under the influence of China for so long, okay, the dominance of China and under their control. But in 1876, I think there, 1876, Japan forced Korea to sign a treaty that would be no longer under the influence of China. And so Japan started having this influence with them. But there were a lot of problems during this time. Korea was, going into bankruptcy and needed help. And so there was a mutiny. A lot of people didn't like the government. So remember what I said a mutiny is when, soldiers or people in the military go against the government or somebody higher, could be the king. Well, the pro-Chinese king called and said that he needed help from China to help them. Now, even though Japan had the influence, China was saying that they were going to send troops. However, there was an agreement that China couldn't send troops into Korea without letting the government of Japan know. But they did it anyway. The Qing dynasty did it anyway. And Japan was upset about that. Well, China's authorities or government said, well, we told you. And Japan was like, no, you did not. And so that caused a problem, which it was called the, so before we go back, I'm going to go back a little bit. You remember when we talked about the Qing dynasty and the Manchus, and they continued to promote the attitude of superiority. Remember? They especially tried to keep China from having any contact with the West through trade. So this is kind of like what's going on here, remember? And then China closed all but one or two ports to Western trade during the 18th century. Remember though, because they did this, it didn't help them. It only hurt them. They were behind the times. They were behind technology. So then now we're going to go back to Korea and Southeast Asia. I meant to do that before, but a little crazy here. And then let's go back to the guiding questions. What caused the governmental breakdown and social collapse in China? Now we're going back and remember the history that I told you about Japan and everything. And then I'm going to show you this map of Asia and what's going on right now. Can you see it? That's also in your book, but I just wanted to show you so if you don't have your book with you and you're just watching the video and you have it. So when China didn't let Japan know that they were sending the troops in, well, Japan's like, I'm gonna hurry and do their troops in. So it caused a problem, and it caused the Sino-Japanese War. And this is a war in which Japan easily defeated China, humiliated the Manchu government, Qing dynasty or government, took possession of Korea, got it back, and received Taiwan along with other Chinese territories because China had control over Taiwan during this time. Okay, so you with me so far? Okay, so we have Korea still now under Japan's influence, and China's weakening military because they were so behind. Like I said, they didn't care about modernizing their military. They didn't care about improving things. They just wanted to be shut off from the world. Shut's a bad word, Miss Young. Okay, so Japan then started having all this influence with Korea, and then now Taiwan and other Asian companies. Well, Europe didn't want Japan to have all the influence because, world domination, that's not going to happen. So they started saying, no, we want to take part in the influences of these other Asian countries. And so this is what you get when you, this is what's called the sphere of influence. The sphere of influence was established by European nations as they claimed Chinese territory for themselves. Now, I don't know where your map is in your book because I don't have it with me, but here's a picture of, if you can see, okay, and you see, I'm going to hold it up there for a little bit, and you can see all the coloring and everything of what nation had which country. You remember imperialism taking over another country, okay? And so you have the British, who had a lot of that territory there in China, the French, the German, Japanese, and Russia. They all had a little part in the dominance, okay? So then I want to show you here, actually, Russia, if you look, Russia had Mongolia, can you see that? And had Manchuria, okay? And so that's a big region that they have. And Russia wanted to establish a railroad, which was called the Trans-Siberian Railroad. You know, have you heard of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra? They play every Christmas. Okay, so if you can see the railroad, I don't know if you can see that, if it's easy to see. Okay, it's kind of hard, sorry. Right there. I don't know if that's in your book either. But that is the route that they had. And so they had complete control. So you have British, and you have Russia, and you have China, not China, I'm sorry, French, who has a lot of this control over these lands. I have the same man. So there's a man. So now America wants to get in on the part. You know, America's like, hey, what about us? Oh, hello. And so a man by the name of John Hay, I'll show you his picture. Hey, John. Okay. A man by the name of John Hay established what they called an open door policy, allowing trade from all these other nations to go into China and or in Asia and have some influence. So here's the map of Southeast Asia. That's the area that we were talking about today. Okay? Anybody with me so far? It's just like I said, it's a short lesson. Now, if you look, I'm going to show you this one last map, and I want you to look at it. And you have all these European nations and even the United States who occupied these Asian countries. You'll see the United States with the Philippine Islands. Great Britain has Burma and India. Germany has New Guinea, and Portugal, Timor, and a little bit of New Guinea. You have Holland, who has French Indochina, Borneo, Sumatra, and Java. And then you have Russia, who has the Russia Empire, remember all that, the Mongolia and all that. And then you have Japan, who has Korea and Japan, and Taiwan. And then you have the United States. But can you look on here? I'm going to hold it up, and hopefully it's not blurry. Is it blurry? I hope not. And see if you can see which country did not have an influence. Give you a second. Well, I don't know if that's blurry. Sorry if it is. The influence was one little country called Siam. We are Siamese. No, Siam, which is today Thailand. Woohoo, Thailand apartheid. And they were, Thailand means free land. So they were the only little Asian country at the time that did not have, no other nation had control over it. No imperialism there. So that's an interesting thing. Okay, so some of your review questions. Okay? From the other day and all these questions, I'm just going to ask, what led to the collapse of the Qing dynasty? What led to the collapse of the Qing dynasty? Oh, let me see who I'm going to call on, Anne, I don't know if you're watching these, but I'm going to ask you. What led the trade with West, foreign imperialism, and China's policy of isolation. They isolated them so much that it didn't improve their military, it didn't improve their agriculture, it didn't improve their technology. Now China is so different, but back then, not so much. Okay? Another question. What motivated more and more Chinese peasants to rebel? Jonathan. A lot of people would rebel. The colonials, colonists rebelled for these same reasons. Heavy taxation, government corruption, and famine. Although the colonists didn't, there was no government corruption and famine back then, but heavy taxation is a big problem everywhere. And then, who did Hong Xiuquan claim to be? Remember? He was the guy who failed the test 4 times. And he claimed to be the younger brother of Jesus, but deity, not just a regular brother. Okay? What rebellion did Young Quan, lead? Wait, no, I said that name wrong. Xiuquan. Sorry, Xiuquan. What rebellion did Hong Xiuquan lead? Yes, the Taipei Rebellion. I always feel like Dora the Explorer when I ask you these questions and no one's actually answering, but I'm hopefully you're answering to yourself as I teach this. What rebellion resulted in the deaths of many missionaries? The Boxer Rebellion. Oh, by the way, sometimes when I'm recording, I'll say things that aren't wrong and then I'll go back and watch this and I'm like, what? I actually said that when I was talking about Cornwallis and I said he was defeated at the Battle of Saratoga. No, that was Yorktown. I did put a excerpt in that video, but like I said, sometimes when I'm teaching, I'm just trying to get things across really quickly and then I go back and I'm like, oh, and it's not like I could say, I'm not going to do the video over again. Just kidding. Well, not kidding, but that's my thought. Okay, and then, why was Emperor Huangzhou imprisoned while in office? Remember, he wanted to do the 100 Days Reform, which would have been good for China, right? But that was the reason why his little auntie, his mean aunt, had him house arrested and then imprisoned, and then he died. Okay, so let's see here. One thing, so remember today we talked about how the Japanese demonstrated imperialism and aggression towards China. Since Japan desired China's territory, it took advantage of China's weakening government and seized the land it wanted from China. So that is the big picture of what we talked about today. Now, I have an interesting fact for you. This is kind of cool. In 1904, a man with a wooden leg, knock on wood, won 3 Olympic gold medalists in gymnastics. His name was George Louis Eyster, E-Y-S-E-R. So, pretty good, right? I mean, who says you can't do anything? So that's something for you to remember, that never give up on your dreams or the things that people say that you can't do, because if you work hard enough, you'll be able to do that. Now, tomorrow we're going to finish our discussion on Asia, and we're going to talk about Japan, and then we'll be done with this chapter. If you have any questions or you want to discuss more about it, then go ahead and send me a remind or a message, and don't forget to send me your 3 things that you've learned. You don't have to send them on Facebook. I know some of you are putting them on Facebook. Go ahead and send it through the Remind app. That's probably easier because I don't always see Facebook. as far as that's concerned. So go ahead, and a lot of you are sending it through Mind. You're just sending, taking pictures of your notes, or if you're typing them, you can also send them through text message, okay? I think that's it for today. Love you guys, and I hope you're making great choices. Have a great day. Bye.